There is one money mistake that almost every single person in their 20s makes. Not the obvious stuff. Not the stop buying coffee advice you've already heard 1,000 times. Not the make a budget tip that every finance influencer recycles every January. Something deeper. Something nobody actually talks about because it's uncomfortable. Because admitting it means admitting that the version of yourself you've been building, the lifestyle, the image, the story, might be built on the wrong foundation. And here's the worst part. Most people don't even realize they're making it until they're 30 and wondering why their life looks nothing like they planned. So I'm going to tell you what it is right now, before it costs you another year. The mistake is this. You are spending your most valuable financial asset, and you don't even know it's an asset. That asset is time. Not in the motivational poster sense, not the time is money cliche your uncle says at Thanksgiving. In a very specific, very mathematical, very real sense that most 20-somethings completely ignore. Here is the math. If you invest $200 a month starting at age 22, by age 62, you have roughly $700,000, assuming a standard 7% average annual return. If you wait until 32 to start, same $200 a month, same 7% return, by age 62, you have roughly $243,000. Same money, same effort, 10 years difference. $457,000 difference. Let that sit for a second. You didn't spend that $457,000 on anything. You didn't lose it in a bad investment. You didn't get scammed.
You just waited. You just assumed you had time. You just told yourself you'd start when things settled down a bit. And that assumption, that quiet, comfortable, completely reasonable feeling assumption, is the most expensive mistake you will ever make. But here's where it gets interesting. Because the math isn't even the hardest part. The hardest part is understanding why smart people, people who know this math, still don't start, still wait, still find a reason to delay. And it comes down to one psychological trap. It's called present bias. Your brain is literally wired to value things that are happening right now more than things that will happen in the future. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care about your future self, but because your brain genuinely struggles to make the future feel real. Think about it. Your 62-year-old self is basically a stranger to you. You can't picture their face clearly. You can't feel what they feel. They exist somewhere in a future so distant, it might as well be fiction. But your right now self, that person is very real. That person has rent due next week. That person wants to go to dinner with friends on Friday. That person just saw something online they really want to buy. So when your brain is forced to choose between your real present self and your fictional future self, it picks the present. Every time. Without guilt, without hesitation. And that's not a character flaw. That's just how brains work.
The problem is that the financial system, the one that benefits from you spending instead of saving, was specifically designed around this bias. Every advertisement you see is engineered to make right now feel urgent. Buy now. Sale ends today. Limited time only. They are not selling you products. They are selling you permission to choose your present self over your future self. And they are very good at it. So now you know the mistake. You know the psychology behind it. But knowing isn't fixing. And this is where most finance content stops, right at the diagnosis, which is exactly why most people stay stuck. So let's actually fix it. There are 3 things you need to do, and none of them require you to be disciplined, motivated, or financially sophisticated. They just require you to set them up once and let them run. Step 1, make your future self real. This sounds soft, but it's scientifically backed. Studies show that people who can vividly imagine their future self make significantly better financial decisions. So do this exercise once, right now if you can. Imagine yourself at 60, not in a vague way, specifically. Where are you living? What does your morning look like? Do you have options? Can you work if you want to? Or are you working because you have to? That specific feeling of having options versus having obligations, hold on to that. Because that feeling is what you're actually investing in every time you choose your future self over your present self. Step 2, automate the decision so your present bias can't interfere. You cannot rely on willpower to beat a cognitive bias that has been refined over millions of years of human evolution. That is a fight you will lose. So don't fight it. Remove the decision entirely.
Set up an automatic transfer. The day your income hits your account, a fixed amount moves immediately into an investment account. Before you can see it, before you can spend it, before your present biased brain can find a reason why this month is different and you'll definitely start next month. Even if it's $50, even if it's $20, the amount matters less than the habit, because the habit is what compounds, not just the money. Step 3, start before you're ready. This is the one nobody wants to hear. You're waiting until you understand investing better. You're waiting until you have more money to invest. You're waiting until you pay off this debt first. You're waiting until life gets less complicated. But here's what's actually happening while you wait. Your future self is getting older. The compounding clock is ticking. And every month you delay is a month of growth that disappears forever. Not just delayed, gone. You cannot get back time in the market. A simple index fund, a target date fund, something boring and automatic that you set up in 20 minutes and never have to think about again. That is infinitely better than the perfect investment strategy you never actually start. Now, here's the thing about all of this that nobody tells you. And this is actually the most important part of this entire video. The mistake isn't really about money. It's about identity. The people who start investing at 22, even small amounts, aren't doing it because they're more disciplined. They're doing it because somewhere along the way, they decided something about who they are. They decided, I am someone who takes their future seriously. That identity, that simple story they tell themselves about who they are, changes every small decision that follows. They don't need motivation to transfer $50 this month, because it's just what they do. It's who they are. The people who wait until 32, they're not lazy. They just never made that identity decision. They kept treating investing as something they would do eventually, something for later, something for when they felt more ready, more stable, more deserving somehow. And the gap between those two groups, the $457,000 gap, isn't really a math gap. It's an identity gap. So the real question isn't when should I start investing? The real question is, who do you want to be? Someone who takes their future seriously? Or someone who's always planning to? You're in your 20s, or maybe just leaving them. Either way, you still have time. That's the one thing working completely in your favor right now. But time is the one thing that doesn't wait for you to feel ready. The money mistake every 20-something makes isn't a dramatic failure. It's not a bad investment or a financial disaster. It's something much quieter and much more expensive. It's just waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting to understand it better. Waiting until next month. Every single day you wait, your future self pays the price. And your future self, that stranger you can barely picture right now, is counting on you more than you realize. Don't make them pay for your hesitation. Start. Today. Something. Anything. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time?
is right now.